As she got her kids to bed, brushed her teeth, set up a camera in her room, and turned off the lights, she felt her heart beat faster. Later, when she saw the video, she couldn't believe it. She was surprised by what had happened while she was asleep. She wondered why something so close to her face didn't wake her up. She was curious about what had truly occurred that night. Melanie Darnell is a mom of 3 who loves to eat healthy and exercise. She's also a blogger with lots of people who follow her online. But what many people didn't know was that Melanie was secretly dealing with something really tiring. Nobody would have believed her if she told them. It all started 10 months ago when strange sounds started coming from her house. At first, she thought it was just the trees or the old house making noise, but when it happened even on calm days, she couldn't ignore it. For the past 10 months, almost every day, Melanie would wake up feeling super tired, like she hadn't slept at all. Lately, the noises that would wake her up at night were getting louder. She decided it was time to figure out what was making her so tired, but what she discovered was shocking and left her breathless. Melanie settled the kids into bed and went to her room to spend the night. However, this time, she was determined not to sleep. She would stay up all night, identify the sound, and follow it to its source. But her plan didn't exactly turn out as she had planned. Her exhaustion had her passed out after 2 hours of fighting through her tiredness. Then she got an idea. If this noise was constantly annoying her, it must have been annoying her husband too. After all, they did sleep in the same bed together. She decided to mention it to her husband, who was away filming. She brought it up, casually expecting him to tell her it was just the house, but what he said freaked her out. Her husband said set up a night vision camera and see what's going on. If you're not sleepwalking, then something really strange must be happening to you. His advice only scared her more. All the classic horror movies Melanie watched when she was younger popped to mind. Would Freddy Krueger be visiting her in the night? She shuddered at the thought. Suddenly she realized that maybe there was more to this than she thought. And there was. Melanie hung up the phone with her husband and searched for the symptoms of sleepwalking. Was she sleepwalking? If she was, that would certainly explain her exhaustion. Melanie read the symptoms and realized she identified with many of them. Her heart raced as she realized she might need help. But first, she needed to be certain. So she did exactly what her husband said. But what she'd find was like nothing she suspected. That night, after Melanie put her kids to bed, she slept on the couch. She was too afraid to sleep in her room alone and scared she'd sleepwalk down the stairs. She prepared herself for a better night's sleep and decided to go to the store tomorrow to get a night cam. She wondered if she'd sleep better tonight, not that she was away from the noise, but it went from bad to worse. Melanie woke up the next morning with the exact same unsettled feeling as all the nights before, only this time a vague memory of the night sent a shiver down her spine. She had to understand what was happening to her. She lay on the couch trying to focus on the image that was threatening to leave the edge of her sleepy memory. Her eyes widened. She remembered waking up briefly to the feeling of a breath on her face. As a heavy sleeper, she awoke and turned, falling back into a deep slumber. But now, she realized the significance of that moment. She got the kids up and raced to the nearest camera store. The unimaginable truth was just around the corner. Her heart pounded as she got herself and the kids ready for bed that night. She set the camera up on the ceiling at the foot of her bedroom and turned the lights off. She braced herself for another horrible night of sleep before eventually drifting off into another restless slumber, completely unaware of what was about to happen right under her nose. She got the video camera ready the next morning and nervously made coffee. She was now ready to find out what was happening at night. Her hand was a little shaky as she pressed play. The footage rolled and she saw herself leaving her room to put her kids to bed. Then there was nothing but silence. Melanie watched herself lay in bed, shuffling quietly until she finally fell asleep. At first, everything seemed peaceful. She pressed the fast-forward button, desperately hoping that she didn't have a sleepwalking problem and that no one appeared that shouldn't have been there, but that's exactly what happened. Melanie jumped and hit pause. In shock, she hit the rewind button and played it again. Her eyes widened as she saw a small figure enter her room and climb onto her bed. She was asleep and had no idea. Then 2 more shadows appeared, and one came really close to her face, making her wonder how she could sleep through all this. What was going on? The video showed Melanie fast asleep while her bed turned into a party after putting her kids to bed at 9 p.m. And 10 p.m., they showed up again at 2 a.m. Melanie was too tired to wake up, but she stirred and tossed around because of the noise. Then she saw her dog joining the chaos. He jumped on the bed, licked her face, and sniffed her. What was amazing was Melanie's reaction. Even though she looked asleep and couldn't remember any of it, she was acting like she was awake. She cuddled her toddler and moved her hair when he tugged on it. It was like she was half awake and half asleep. It explained everything. She was so surprised by the video that she decided to share it. She wanted people to know that parenting doesn't stop when the sun goes down. In those late-night moments, let's remember that there are other parents out there taking care of their babies at the same time. We can find comfort in knowing that we're all holding our babies in the dark, sharing this experience together, she said. Melanie, who is a mom just like you and me, shared this post and it became really popular. She wanted to tell everyone that being a mom is tough, and it never stops being a challenge. She also wanted people to see the parts of being a mom that don't usually get talked about. Being a mom is not easy, and moms often get criticized a lot, but nobody really knows what they go through every day. Melanie herself has faced a lot of criticism. She's a young mom who shares her life and family on the internet, so she's open to getting a lot of negative comments from people. Some people question her busy life and why she shares so much about her family and kids online, but at the end of the day, Melanie does it all for the sake of her family and kids. If she didn't share her life and let people see her family, she wouldn't be able to provide for her kids and give them the life she wants for them. It's not always easy to make the right decisions, but as long as you do your best and take care of yourself, your kids, and your family with love, then you're doing something right. Melanie shows this every day.